What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Overlanding Now, and today we're going to be talking about the 11, I think it's 10, either way, 10 things I hate about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Stay tuned. So maybe we got off on the wrong foot there. Hate is probably a strong word. And what I'm well aware of is that there are going to be endless comments of people who are just beside themselves that I could have anything negative to say about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Well, the fact is no overland vehicle is perfect, and this one has its flaws. So if you're waiting for one, and if you're looking to go purchase one, these are the things that you should probably know. Now, I would still purchase this vehicle despite all of its flaws and imperfections. So I want to state that for the record. So everybody put your pitchforks away, and let's just talk about some of the things that the Subaru Outback Wilderness does not do perfectly. Now, the first thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way, I wouldn't say it's a hate. Honestly, I wouldn't say any of these things are hate. Strongly dislike, absolutely. Unfortunate, yeah. But this one, not having any factory rock rails. Now, I come from a different world. This is my first Subaru Outback Wilderness. So, not having any type of factory rock rails rubs me the wrong way, and here's why. I don't expect the vehicle to have 2.5-inch steel tubing rock rails running down the side because this is some type of rock crawling machine. But the way that this vehicle is positioned as well as is marketed, it should have the capability and the basic function of a vehicle that is going to be taken off-road and could potentially get themselves into a situation where a rock rail of some sort would be extremely beneficial. Like I said, I come from the world of Jeeps. So for me, it's an absolute must. Now, the other part about it is not so much that they didn't come standard. I don't expect all the vehicles to come standard with all of this equipment. Most vehicles don't. But to have an option to add these things from the factory would be nice. It doesn't have to be anything outrageously beautiful, but just some sort of protection on the sides of your vehicle would be helpful. I went ahead and installed my own rock rails. That was one of the first things I did. And what I noticed is there are also not any factory mounting points for rock rails. So there's no frame side mounting points for the rock rails, which it's unfortunate. And more than likely, the people driving this vehicle, will they need rock rails? Probably, because I've seen some pretty gnarly videos of people taking these things and getting crazy with them. And that's what this vehicle is positioned to do. Now, no, it's not a rock crawler, but there's a lot of times you slide off of rocks and you end up on the side of your vehicle. And it could, the plastic that is on there is not a very strong plastic. It is plastic, so it would probably be cheap to replace. That was probably a genius move on their part. But I don't want to damage the side of my vehicle while I'm taking this thing up trails that may have rocks that I didn't see coming when I picked to go up this trail. Now, the other thing, real quick, got to do this because it's getting parched. Liquid Death. Mountain water. I'm not sponsored by Liquid Death. This video is not sponsored by Liquid Death, but if Liquid Death, you want to sponsor any of these videos, hit me up. So, there's something called RAB, which is rear assisted braking. Now, what rear assisted braking does in the Subaru Outback Wilderness is when you are backing up, it notifies you that you are about to hit something, which is an awesome feature. The problem is I mountain bike, and I'm assuming if you watch these videos, you're probably into some type of an extreme sport. And mountain biking may be one of those sports. Now, when I put my mountain bike on the rear of the Wilderness, I put the hitch system on, and I load my mountain bike up, and I put it in reverse, it notifies me that I'm about to hit something. Well, I was backing out of my garage, and I wasn't going to hit anything. I knew it was the mountain bike, and it locks up your emergency brake. So I was pulling out of my driveway, backing out of the garage, and I'm going, I'm speeding up because I'm about to back out and go mountain biking. I'm kind of jacked up. So I back out, and the emergency brake locks the whole car up. And you just hear, whoa. It's just like that emergency brake is just tightening and stretching. It was a whole ordeal. And I'm like, what the heck? So I put it in drive, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, and I put it back in reverse, and I go out really slow. And as long as you're going under 1 mile an hour, it's not going to lock it up. But if you exceed that 2 mile an hour limit, it's locking the whole car up. So that system is intended for people who are backing out of a spot at a grocery store and they're about to hit a cart or hit a human or hit a car, whatever you're about to hit, it's going to lock the brakes up for you, which is an awesome feature. The problem is when you throw your mountain bikes on the back of it, you have to turn that off. And when you turn the RAB off, what that does is it eliminates the vehicle telling you that you are coming within close proximity of hitting anything. So that whole reverse notification system that it has is rendered useless if you have a mountain bike on the back of your Subaru Outback Wilderness. So that's number 2 thing that I strongly dislike about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Now the third is kind of me being a princess. And I know that. There's no heated steering wheel. I know. But it's not even that it doesn't come with it. It's that it's not an option. All the Jeeps I've owned, every vehicle I've owned in the past 5 years has had a heated steering wheel as an option. Now, I granted they don't all come with heated steering wheels, but it is nice to have a heated steering wheel. If you've never had a heated steering wheel, you're missing out on a heated steering wheel. So, not a huge deal, but it's kind of silly that some of the models come with it and some of the models don't, and I understand there's a chip shortage and maybe that plays a part, or maybe they just feel like if you're a wilderness kind of guy or girl, you don't need any type of heated steering wheel option, which is totally false because the heated steering wheel is probably one of my favorite parts about a vehicle, but it's just not an option, and I think that's silly given the fact that, it's cold. It's really cold here right now. And I would love to be able to get in and have a heated steering wheel. And my wife really loves her heated steering wheels. Now, another thing that is not a huge deal, but it is a problem. It's a problem for me. It might not be a problem for you. The only type of outlets within the vehicle are cigarette plug type of outlets. There is no traditional 110 outlet inside the vehicle for whatever reason. I feel like, A, it should definitely be an option. Just have it as an option. There's tons of places that you can put it. Every car manufacturer in the country, well, that's a lie. I just lied. I'm just talking. A lot of people have the option to do it. And Subaru has the option to do it. So to not put some type of 110 outlet in there for refrigerators or any other things that you want to run off of a 110, you have to use a cigarette lighter. Now, granted, you can get an adapter. It's easily fixable. It's not a huge deal. But Subaru positions this vehicle to go up against a lot of other vehicles that have those options. I don't expect anything to come from the factory absolutely free every single time. But I do expect to have those types of options because there's a lot of times when I have to charge multiple things at one time, specifically for me, where I have drone batteries, camera batteries, GoPro batteries, iPads for the kids, all of these things that need to be charged when I can't do that off of a cigarette outlet. So, give me an option. That's all I'm asking. Just give me an option for a 110, a regular outlet, and let me do what I got to do with it from there. That's all I have to say. Now, a lot of things that people have complained about that I didn't think were a big deal in the very beginning. Now, I've had the Wilderness for about 3,000 miles. And the infotainment screen was not a big deal for me at first. Now, the reason I say that is I didn't expect that I was going to have to use the infotainment screen for pretty much everything that I want to do. I figured there would still be buttons, and there are no buttons for a lot of things. Like if you want to turn on your heated seats, you have to click into the infotainment, then you have to click the seats, click the infotainment screen 3 times, click X, and then you're back to the home screen. That may sound like me complaining, and that's fine. And you can comment if you think it's just me complaining, which I won't be offended in any way whatsoever. But it requires you to do pretty much everything through the infotainment screen. So if you have to do anything within the car, you have to mess with it. And there's a lot of things that you could just leave buttons. Just make them buttons. Buttons are easy. We know that they work. If anything happens within that computer system, you're done. Like the Jeeps, I keep going back to Jeeps, and I know you're like, well, it's not a Jeep. I get it. But the point I'm trying to make is I can control my heat, my air conditioning, my heated seats, all of that with just buttons. So in the event that something fails in the computer, I'm not without heat, or I'm not without a heated seat, or I'm not without air conditioning, because things happen electronically all the time, and to just have an old-fashioned button to turn these things on would probably create less stress on the infotainment system and allow it to work more smoothly, because it is jumpy from time to time, and you oftentimes have to press it multiple times to get to where you're trying to go. And it understandably, technology takes time to kind of adapt and come to life, and I get that, but it's 2021. We're past that point. So I'll move on. I'll just shut up about that. Another thing. Sorry, it's just one of those days. It's cold, it's dry. Another thing is the poor camera quality with the front-facing and rear-facing cameras. I know you can do better. I know Subaru can do better. I know Subaru can do better because I know Jeep's front-facing and rear-facing cameras are literally, I don't think they're 4K, but they're 1080 at the bare minimum. And I would say we're probably dealing with 720 out of the forward-facing and rear-facing cameras of the Wilderness, and that's probably all Subarus. But once again, I feel like you can put a better camera in there, because when you're backing up at night, it is really hard to see. And granted, you don't need a reverse camera to back up. I know somebody's going to say, well, why do you need a camera? I get it. I don't need a camera. But the point I'm making is, if you're going to put a camera, because you put a camera, just make it a good one. I mean, we're dealing in the world of 4K and 8K and all of this. I don't need, just give me something good. Give me something good. I expected more. Granted, they work. Don't get me wrong. They do work. You can see. But you're not seeing anything very clear, I can tell you that. And I think that's just one of those small missteps where you have the technology. It can't be that much more for a better camera. Just put a better camera. But thanks for the front-facing camera. I do appreciate that. That means a lot. But it's kind of useless if it's hard to see. So, kind of help me out with that. Now, the next thing, I know a lot of people are going to probably have an issue with. And maybe it's me being biased because, like I said 14 times already, I don't come from the Subaru world. I come from a world of 37s and mud terrains. So when it comes to the tires, now the Geolander tires that they put on this vehicle are a good tire. They're a good tire. They're a really good all-terrain street tire, mostly street tire. But one of the first things I knew I wanted to do, and I guess this really depends on how you intend to use your Subaru Outback Wilderness. If you're going to use this vehicle on some tough terrain, if you plan on going places and doing things and not really allowing stuff to get in your way, I would recommend changing the tires. I'm sure that they're a great tire off-road. I've seen many videos of people off-road with these tires and nothing has happened. But what I can tell you is I have seen beads blow. I have seen people take punctures in their sidewalls and have to stop and change a tire or patch a tire. If you're going to be using this vehicle off-road in any serious or moderate situations, I would recommend changing the tires. You can sell these tires, which is what I've done, and you can recoup most of your money for a better tire. We went with a BF Goodrich KO2. Yes, it is much more meaty but I have absolutely no concern that that tire is going to perform in pretty much the harshest conditions without hesitation. So the Geolandar tires, I feel like they are a small step up because they're trying to continue that road comfortability, because I understand most people drive their vehicles on the road primarily, but I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of that on-road comfort for maximum off-road performance. That's just me. So the Geolandar tires, they're a good tire, but in my opinion, I feel like there should have been a more aggressive tire. I guess that probably doesn't appeal to the mass market. I would not consider myself the mass market. And if you're watching this video, chances are you don't consider yourself the mass market either. This one sucks. And it's another one of those things. And I'm just going to continue to err on the side of it's probably a chip shortage issue. But the fact that I cannot start my vehicle with my key fob, that may sound stupid. And some people are going to say, I've been driving a 1973 GMC truck. I don't care. That's not what I'm saying. I am so incredibly impressed that you're driving a 1973 GMC truck. Those are sweet trucks. But it's 2021. To not have the option of auto starting your vehicle from inside your house with the key fob. Also, I know everyone's going to say, well, Subaru Starlink. You can do it from your phone. You always have your phone in your hand. Maybe it's just me being old school. And it's funny that I'm saying maybe it's me being old school about being able to start my vehicle with my key fob and not my cell phone. That's how you know times have changed. I'm not happy that I have to start my car with my cell phone. I prefer to do it with the key fob. That would be considered old school, and our children are going to think we're stupid. But that's one thing. I'm just so used to it. I mean, it's a system. The system works. Stick to the system. There's no reason to deviate from something that has been proven forever. And that's not true. It's not ever. But you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So number 9. Number 9 is there's no option from the factory for auxiliary switches. And the reason that bothers me, if I had bought something different, something that was not specifically geared for people who live in the outdoors, enjoy being off-road, enjoy overlanding, enjoy primitive camping, I wouldn't really care. And it's also said that this vehicle is very capable of performing off-road functions. So to not have any type of option from the factory for auxiliary switches, to me, is kind of silly. Once again, it doesn't need to be a standard option, but I would happily have paid $500 or $600 or $700 additional just to have even 2, 4 is better, but 2 factory auxiliary switches that are wired by the battery, and I can hook everything up super easy, and I don't have to go with any third party or aftermarket auxiliary switch options. I did install the trigger system in the Wilderness. Put that video up here. It works great. I love it. But the fact of the matter is, I had to spend the money to get it when, if it's coming from the factory with a couple of auxiliary switches, most people who are buying these vehicles are going to need at least 2. We'll say at least 1, 2 being an extra. And there's plenty of places to do it. There's plenty of spots you could put it. Once again, I think it's just, if you're trying to capture a specific market, in my opinion, and I am no automotive specialist, you should be able to give people the same options that other companies do. That's it. That's not it. I have number 10. And number 10 really drives me crazy. What you need to understand, and I think this may just be a Subaru thing, because I'm a new guy and I have no idea about Subarus yet, my assumption is this is a Subaru thing, and my assumption is that Subaru runs really hot. And if Subarus run hot and you know that, put that into the comments, because I would love to do some research on that. Whenever you have the heat on and then you turn the heat off, you're still getting the same temperature of air blowing out of the air vents as you would if the heat was turned on the lowest setting. So if you have the heat set on 1 and then you turn the heat off because you're warm, you're still getting the same amount of warm air coming out of the air vents that was when you had the heat on. That has to be a Subaru thing. It has to be something where Subarus or the Outbacks in general just run hot, because this vehicle in the heat stay extremely warm the entire time. Even if you turn the heat on, crank it all the way down to its lowest setting, and then turn it back off, it still blows warm air. So it kind of sucks, because once you get to a good temperature, you're happy. You know what I mean? But there is no, you're either taking the heat or you're not. And that's just what it is when it comes to the Outback Wilderness. I know that some people are probably going to hate everything that I said, which is totally fine. But here's what you need to understand. These are my opinions. And because we're in America, I'm allowed to have them. And if you don't like them, that's totally fine. But these are the 10 things that I hated, or I still kind of strongly dislike about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. If you guys thought anything I said was out of line, let me know. If you agree with all these things, then also let me know. I appreciate you guys coming along and watching the video. If there's anything else I can do for you, please leave that in the comments, and we will see you on the next one.